It is International Pedestrian Day, and I thought I would use this day as an opportunity to have a very organic, unscripted recording and just share a bit about a project we have in development at Pedestrian Space. Pedestrian Space was founded in May 2020. Well, it was started in May 2020 as an Instagram page. That's it, an Instagram account to document um, basically best practices and barriers of walkability specifically that I was seeing in the city that I lived in at the time in central Sweden. Now, walkability is about the ease with which a person can move around their community by foot. And within that, a pedestrian space, we emphasize also access to public transportation. And at the time, in May 2020 and through that year, I really was using that Instagram space to just visually document all the little things that I was seeing relating to accessibility. I was a mother of two young children pushing a stroller, so noticing how that intersected with issues of access, maybe for people with walkers and wheelchairs, but also things like tree canopy, access to parks, how close was grocery stores for people in their neighborhoods, how close were medical clinics, schools, places to exercise, places to just be outside and have a bit of social leisure time. So that time was really formative for me to just study the city. I've been interested in cities for a long time and had studied urbanism before that, but that was a really interesting time to sort of reapproach how I was studying cities and inhabiting them, right? And putting those two together, my lived experience and then also this media documentation, also beginning to learn the landscape of discourse on walkability and media. Later established Pedestrian Space as a website the following year, and then the following year as an NGO in 2023. So my NGO is very grassroots, it's young, and I would say active, but I'm now looking at the sort of ending of my PhD program here, but patiently awaiting to defend in the coming year. Actively looking to further develop my nonprofit activities, also in intersection with my academic life and furthering my research. Pedestrian Space operates at the intersection of media, advocacy, communication, and research on issues of walkability, but broadly urban resilience. Those of us working with walkability know it's not just moving by foot. It connects to so many issues about urban development and environmental health, and ultimately planetary health. Urban heat is one of those topics, and I've really been paying attention to issues of urban heat and walkability probably for longer than I realized, but I really began specifically paying attention when I started that Pedestrian Space Instagram account back in the day. I was really beginning to document spaces of cooling, spaces where I knew that I could experience heat stress, or that public spaces that people were clearly not inhabiting on hotter days because of the lack of shade, documenting well canopied, well shaded public transit stations, really as a point of bringing them to media, bringing them to my Pedestrian Space channels, my social media accounts, my website accounts, to talk about it, to say this is why we need to prioritize shading for public transit. If we want people to ride public transit and we're in places where it does get hot, of course we need to think about people's experience during that and their thermal refuge, because the issue is if people are going to become heat stressed during their regular commute, this is a very negative experience. It's also becomes a public health crisis. So this year, I began developing the Sustainable Urbanism and Planetary Health Program. My motivation with this was really about generating more multi-generational awareness and discourse on issues of sustainable urbanism. I've published a lot of research over the past couple of years. I'm really, really proud of that. It's been a lot of hard work, and I look forward to publishing more. I'm often around a lot of urban mobility researchers, practitioners, sustainable urbanism researchers, and the discourse can often be, very disciplinary, but not accessible. It's not always accessible. So, and that's to be expected too. Of course, the people who are in the fields have their own different language and they go deeper. They could talk about it for hours. But I'm really excited, and I have been since I started a pedestrian space, about being able to bring these topics to the public. It's why I did my PhD with a community engaged focus and did 19 workshops as part of my field work on best practices and barriers of walkability. So that's really at the heart of my research approach with different themes, and also with the approach at Pedestrian Space as a nonprofit to be able to engage researchers and professionals and practitioners, but also people who are not working with the urban form in any way, but to talk to them about their lives as inhabitants and to also center that as important insight and interesting too. So, as part of the sustainable urbanism and planetary health program that I'm developing, it's in development now. I'm developing a curriculum that also caters to different age groups, including university, but also primary and secondary. I'm also developing now the urban heat focus. So, this is a topical focus within the program. And I put the call out for this urban heat pilot in late July of this year, so just a few weeks ago. And I'll be honest, I'm used to getting a nice trickle of responses when I put the call out for a collaboration. I'm accustomed to there being some sort of response, something usually manageable. I'm 1% after all, but I'm used to getting nice positive responses. What I received after posting about this pilot was a first time experience for me. My email was just, absolute flood of emails, and uh not breezy emails at all. In depth, um, often very thoughtfully written, multi-paragraph emails with people sharing about their backgrounds, their interest in urban heat, what they want to do for this pilot. Such engaged communication from people all over the world in different disciplines, bachelor students, master students, freshly graduated master students, PhD students, practitioners, professionals. So I said, Annika, I talked to myself as this was happening. I thought, how do I want to honor this? I am not interested in picking and choosing two or three people to do a little project with. I really want to honor what this response is showing and what we can do with this. So I decided this is going to be a network approach. I've developed a network before. I basically had to step back from doing it so intensively when I started my PhD, but now I'm at a point where now at the other end of that program, again, I'm waiting to do my defense within the coming year, but I have now the opening. I'm at that crossroads now of looking for new opportunities and also developing foundations for new projects, and experiencing that level of response and such, again, engaged, passionate responses, really interesting responses from so many different disciplines. I thought, okay, I think I want to go ahead and start a network approach. On this map, these stars with the yellow backgrounds, they represent people I've spoken with since I posted that pilot call in late July. So really just in the past 3 weeks, I've had all virtual calls with a person representing, every star represents a person. There are a couple of stars for which might be two people. For example, somebody might be studying in one place but from another, and then I put 2 stars, but this is generally 1 star per person. And I put the star on the map after people write me and we set up a call and we talk, and I say, hey, now that we've talked and I've shared with you, I show them this map. After the first 2 calls, as the map began to develop, I began showing it to people saying, hey, I'm developing a network approach here. This is going to be a global urban heat media lab experience for which we have people all over the world contributing insight in the form of diverse media. Could be blog posts and visual essays or series of graphics, insight briefs on various issues of urban heat in their area, global perspectives on urban heat, essentially. So this is how it's developing. This is just in the last 3 weeks, and I was on holiday last week, and I went completely meeting free. So this is about 2 weeks of discussions, and they're starting again. I have now back in my home office, and I have specific days where I have openings for talking with people and bringing people on to the network. So this is really interesting for me, and I look forward to seeing it develop further. I have many more talks coming up. So it has been branded, we've been branding it as the Global Urban Heat Media Lab, and developing further the mission as a creative, international, and interdisciplinary approach. I put international and place-based, and for me, this is not contradictory. This is an international network, but many people are bringing place-based insight, for which it will be really interesting, especially there's many people joining the network who want to do comparative city research, which is a great opportunity, I think, for exchanging insight on different extreme heat solutions. So also, of course, unpacking all that expertise and knowledge in media and engagement and education so that we are providing a sort of approach that is multi-generationally accessible, understandable for the public on these issues, because these are issues that affect the public. So many people joining the network, they're already working in their professions with issues, with solutions. But the point of this is really about shaping awareness and bringing it to the table for public discourse and education. I'm going to go back to the map for a second here, because I want to point out too that, again, many people that have been writing me, it's about academic internships. When I put the call out for participation, I also simultaneously put a call for academic interns. Pedestrian Space is an NGO that has hosted academic interns for a few years now. I almost exclusively host academic interns because I prefer to host university students who are already in a program where they are required to do an internship. So they are getting credit for their internship. They already have funding for their time, their housing, this or that. I generally don't do work internships. And I also really appreciate the whole atmosphere of the academic internship and taking on students who are super motivated, super self-directed, but then producing some sort of output parallel to the research they're usually doing in their program for pedestrian space. That's at the heart of the internship. So here, back to the map, that's what I meant to show. Again, I've had dozens upon dozens upon dozens of university students writing to apply for an internship program. Once again, I felt that rather than pick and choose one or two, I was going to create the network for that as well. So that was part of this. Many of these stars represent students, and those students will have the opportunity to participate in what I'm branding as an international collaborative internship network. And they are able to then work potentially within their own city with fellow interns. We have some cities where we already have a few interns based, so they are able to connect with each other. Didn't know each other beforehand, but then through this network meet each other and collaborate on a project together, or work across international boundaries and across the world, and on teams together in collaborative international internships. I find this really exciting. I don't think I necessarily innovated it, but I haven't heard of it before. So for me, it's something new. I'm also creating it freshly without looking at like a guidebook or anything. I really had the idea to just do this as I was developing this. So this international internship network, to me, is a great opportunity for students to also learn to work and collaborate, and possibly international teams or just teams within their own city. That interdisciplinarity is really the focus too, to work with students from other disciplines, other programs on topics of urban heat, and produce some deliverable, whether it's a case study or an article together, an insight brief or a visual essay on the issue that they decide to collaborate on. So far, the students coming on board who hear about that too, they really like the idea. So that's really neat. I love seeing people excited, to take part in something like that and to work on something collaboratively for their academic placement. So these are just some of the mission aspects developing from the Global Urban Heat Media Lab. I won't read everything, but definitely contributing to public awareness of issues of extreme and urban heat. creating media and educational resources, also centering the heat experiences of residents. That is so important to me. Also featuring municipal insights. I mean, I find it so fascinating to find out across the world what different cities are doing in response to urban heat in their very specific context, right? Every place is different. What one solution it looks like in one area might not be relevant at all in another. So to me, this is where it gets really rich on that international level to look at what's working geographically, climatically, culturally, socially here versus there, and share about that. Also, as I've posted about earlier today, I am available to facilitate the experience of the Urban Heat Media Lab workshop. I've done university level workshops before. I love it. I believe this is super fresh, super contemporary, facing issues that are unfortunately, one of the several escalating crises we now face, impacting humans, but many other species and planetary health as a whole. So I'm really excited to begin to lay the foundation for this. A lot of the energy I have felt around this urban heat media lab development, it reminds me of back in the day when I was just starting out with pedestrian space. Now this is a project of pedestrian space, and I'm really grateful to be bringing it forward and to see the response that it's already garnered, and knowing that I cannot do this alone. And so seeing so many people excited about the network development and wanting to contribute, use their cities as case studies, work on issues, collaborate with other network members. So I'm really looking forward to this. If you're interested in getting in touch about collaboration, please feel free to contact me. The email is in the caption.